like I've had like a good handful of people tell me in the last week and a half or so that um, the hate that they are feeling in the world, like hate, division, strife, anger, all the things that are happening in our culture right now that are upsetting. Um, this handful of people on separate occasions has told me that they are feeling those things from other Christians. Feelings of anger and rage and spite and division um, and it's coming from people that are in the church. We need to talk about this. Apparently, we all need to come together as believers in Jesus and remind ourselves of what our command is. Um, Here's the thing, the climate today, like the political climate, the religious climate, the social media climate, all the things that are happening that are upsetting, they're actually not new things. They're really not. There's nothing new under the sun. These kinds of divisions and hardships and racism and prejudice and all of those things are nothing new. They're just still as painful as they've ever been. We had the Apostle Paul wrote to this church in Corinth. We have 2 letters. He wrote probably like 4 or more, but we have 2 of them in the New Testament. And he wrote to the church in Corinth specifically because they had so much division, so much anger, so much, well, this is how I see it. Well, this is how I see it. And they were just fighting against each other and they were following different leaders and they were just not agreeing. And Paul specifically writes to this church in Corinth and he sums up this entire letter with, do everything in love. Do everything. Do everything in love. And actually, weddings have stolen it. They've stolen 1 Corinthians 13 and just stuck it in wedding ceremonies. But that is the letter where Paul writes, this is what love is. I need to lay it out for you all. This is what love is. Because this is how you need to be living and this is what you need to be doing. And so he says, love is patient. It is kind. It is not rude. Love is not rude. It is not sarcastic. It is not patronizing. It is not condescending. Love is not self-seeking. It doesn't just want its own way. Love rejoices. Love is not easily angered. I mean, he goes through all of this. This is what love is. Because he's trying to tell the Corinthian church, that's your job. That's your job. Your job is to love people well. When we look at the entirety of Scripture, and I'm not talking just about the New Testament, I'm talking about all of the Testaments, all of it. The whole Scripture is love people well. Love the widow, love the orphan, love this person, love your enemy. Bless those who curse you. Do not judge. Love them. Love them well. I just it's been so sad in the last few weeks to hear friends say to me, you know what, like the anger and the hate that I feel and that I'm seeing and that I'm reading online and in person, like those hard things are and mean things are coming out of the mouths of people that are believers. They are believers in Jesus. And we're missing it. I think, and I say that for myself too. I think all of us need to just take a deep breath, and if you are a believer in Jesus, then we just need to remind ourselves for a second that the command that Jesus gives us, the fruit that he says will grow in the life of a believer, is the fruit of love. It is not an easy fruit. It is actually very difficult to love well in a lot of situations. So it's not like we're getting a free pass here, like, oh, all we have to do is love. We just have to love. It's not easy. I didn't say it was an easy road. It's not an easy fruit to grow, but it is the fruit that Jesus says, I command you to love. That's what he says in the book of John. I command you to love one another. Later in the book of John, he says, this is how people are going to know that you are disciples of mine. Like, let me tell you, they will know that you are my disciples if you love each other, if you love one another well. So again, all of us have different areas in our life, different people in our life, different situations where it's very difficult for us to love well. But that is the command. So I encourage you and exhort you, and I ask to look at myself as well. Like, where are the places and the people in my life that I need to back off a little bit, back off of the judgment, back off of the wrath or righteous indignation, whatever I'm calling it, and I need to step back and go, you know what? I'm just called to love you well. And this is love. Love is patient, and it is kind. It is not self-seeking. It is not rude. It is not boastful. It keeps no record of wrongs. That is what love is. Jesus says, love your enemies. Love them. You don't have to hang out with them all the time. You don't have to follow them on Facebook or Instagram. You don't have to read everything that they post, but you are supposed to love them. Love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who hurt you. Doesn't mean, again, you have to be best friends with them. Some of us, to love well, we just need to like back off from people. Back off from certain people and go, you know what? When I'm around you in this capacity, it's really hard for me to love you well. So I just need to kind of back off, and I need to be praying. I need to be praying and saying, God, you know what? You want the best for that person. You want the best for that person just like you want the best for me. So just help me love them well in that. You work it out. Sometimes I think we feel like we have to protect God in some way. Be like, well, God, let me seek justice for you, God. Let me seek your wrath. Let me put your wrath on others, because no, that's not your job. That is not our job. Our job is to love people well. God will handle all the other things. He will handle all the other things. We are called to show mercy and compassion and be generous and give people the benefit of the doubt, because love covers a multitude of sins. If you're loving someone well, you know what? A lot of what they do wrong, which we all do stuff wrong. A lot of what they do wrong is going to fade into the background if you're just focused on loving them well. So may we love well, guys. If you are a believer, if you claim Christianity and you are following Jesus, may we love well. That is what is called to set us apart. That is what is called to set the church apart from the rest of the world, that we love people well. Because the rest of the world doesn't always do that. So may we do that. May we do that. May you do that today. May I try to do that today as best as I can.